You know, it's not every day you get to just go right outside and test the water intrusion points on a backpack. So this is the Boundary Supply Rennen Pro. And I've done a few backpacks from Boundary Supply. They've recently rebranded. So this is the Rennen Pro. I also have a Stasis Pro back in the studio. That one's not getting soaked like this one. Both in an X-Pack VX21 ocean material, which is 100% ocean recycled. So which is pretty cool. Now, we're gonna see how safe your gear is in this mostly city focused, so kind of unfair. I have it in the outdoors in a downpour. However, I loaded up my laptops, iPads, most expensive camera equipment back in there, so we're gonna see if it's dry when I get back. So again, some pretty high-tech water sensitive testing materials. So let's see how it does. Let's go. First off, I'm happy to report that everything survived the heavy downpour rain that I took it out into. So yes, the Rennen Pro from Boundary Supply did great outside. I didn't take tech in it at the time. I actually had some pieces of cardboard in all these individual pockets, and nothing, failed. Nothing got wet. Now, I would say that I was out there for 20 minutes, which I think is about a regular amount of time that you would be maybe going from your apartment to work or to the mass transit system. Either way, about 20 minutes outdoors is probably all I would expect X-Pack and AquaGuard zippers to go for. Any more, and you're probably going to see a little bit of moisture in places. That's just my guess. But 20 minutes in a normal day-to-day situation, just fine. Now, we have the Rennen Pro and we have the Stasis Pro, an upgraded, rebranded version of these packs. Now, they look way different than the previous editions. I never reviewed the previous Rennen or Stasis, so I can't directly say too much about them, except from the photos, they just look drastically different. So this video is going to really be focused on both of these packs and how this whole system comes together. The Rennen and the Stasis did the same thing. They had the same ability to connect and use them together. So here is the whole thing. And at a 20 liter size for the Rennen Pro and a 15 liter size for the Stasis in full capacity, you put them together, 35 liters of stuff. Now, I'm not really sure if you're traveling, if this would count as one bag. Probably nobody paying too much attention to it. You get away with having one bag and then maybe having a third bag if you're one of those people that wants to just bring more stuff. I will say one of my critiques about this whole thing, especially if you wanted to put these things together and go full capacity, is these shoulder straps are a little, I wish they were a little beefier for the full, to carry the full thing. For just the Rennen Pro, I think they're great, and I think you'll have no problem. They are padded in, I would say, medium width, so they could be wider. They're sort of like the Peak Design style of straps. They're just a little thin for me in terms of what I would like to see for something, especially if you're gonna, boom, beef it up. Another bummer, since I'm right here, is they don't include a sternum strap. You can buy one from Boundary Supply, along with the attachment cords that you would maybe need if you really want to attach things to this, because there's attachment points everywhere, but more later on that. But anyway, let's talk about what is this for. Now, this is designed for, I would say, in the city, urban, EDC for sure, light travel. Now, the 20 liter bag could be maybe a weekend mode. There is capacity in there, but it is designed for urban carry. It works out well for that. Now, you could do other things outside, water bottle holders, that kind of thing, but anyway, that's what its purpose is. Would you need both of these? No, not necessarily, mostly because there's a lot of redundancy between these two packs in terms of they both have a lot of tech storage options. Like, for instance, right now I have in this whole thing 2 laptops, 3 iPads, and an iPhone. Do you travel with that much tech? Probably not. So again, a little redundancy in this setup, but you could take most of your tech up here in the Rennen Pro, and use the Stasis for maybe around town or in a little adventure pack. The Stasis is either a backpack or a sling, and there's magnets in the top of this thing like similar other bags that when you're not using this whole capacity, it slims way down. I just have it all packed out just so you can see the whole thing. I wouldn't even say 100%. There's a little bit of room to grow in there, but when you're not using this front pack, so like we'll take out this huge packing cube that we had in here, zip this sucker back up, and the top and the bottom compress, and there's magnets in the top and the bottom. Just kind of slim that sucker all the way in to kind of not let that volume kind of fly all over the place. So there you go. And we're going to walk through these individually so you can see some of the parallels on how they're designed. Just a big packing cube in there right now. But because they're together, how are they together? There's these little magnetic buckles. You kind of push them together and they separate. This little part of the bag is just clipped on there, and this is how, and it comes with the Stasis. So this is how this thing shows up, and then you install the little clip, and then you can quickly attach it. When it's not being used, there's a little pockets in there for you to hide these little clips so they're not kind of flying all over if you didn't plan to ever use the Stasis Rennen Pro combo. But for these things, install them on the Rennen Pro, and then you can attach it. And then because they're magnetic, you can quickly detach this thing, these two things. Quickly detach. Got to get the right angle. So that you can unpack them or do whatever. And so this is what they look like side by side. 15 liters, 20 liters. Things are just unclip this thing. Get that thing back on there. Ta-da. All right, so there we are, packed to normal. Now, let's just start with the smaller, the Stasis. And two main compartments. We have a front compartment, the big kind of bulky area, and then we have sort of like a camera style. This is a Boundary Supply. They've done this on several other bags, but basically opens up kind of like a camera bag where the tech is all in the back, and it opens up full clamshell. So some bags just go a little bit. This one goes full clamshell, so you can kind of see everything. Now there'll be some parallels. I'll get this one out later, but this has two stretchy pockets for some stuff. The problem with this is because you're right up against your tech, you really can't bulk it up too much. And here's another stretchy area with your key loop on the inside of the Stasis. On this side, we have just, and you'll see it kind of mirrored in the other one, just in a bigger size. Small pocket here, two other small pockets, and then they have little side areas for like a stylus or a pen, little pockets right here. These little pockets are great for charging peripherals or maybe some hard drives. I've got a case from an iPhone 15 Max, so that's how that will fit. And then the largest Pro MacBook, not MacBook, the iPad, the largest iPad, 13-inch iPad, 12.9-inch, fits in there snugly. So you got a big case on your biggest iPad, not going to fit 13-inch MacBook Pro, also going to fit because they're the same footprint. So there's like one layer of tech in there. Main part of the bag opens up sort of clamshell, not really, but we'll undo the whole thing. Big packing cube is the only thing I had in there, and they have a smaller and elevated tech sleeve on the inside, which is cool. And this is where I have the iPad mini. Kind of one headache, at least with the Rennen Pro, is there's really no good spot for the Mini Pro or the mini iPad just because of where it sits. Now, that's just a small critique, but it fits inside here. Material on this is an Ocean VX21, recycled, 100% recycled material, which I think is pretty cool. And again, like I said, this thing, when it's not being used, kind of self-compresses with these magnets, which is kind of cool. And then, you know, just undo very easily when you're packing this thing out bigger. So there you go. That's the Stasis. Now, I will show you the harness system here. And there's little attachment points to hang things on there. That's cool. Now, the back panel on the Stasis, it's got the packing cube stuck, is nice. And both bags have the same sort of raised air channel, breathable back panel, which is cool. The center part for your spine, which is always comfortable. The ability to put a waist belt, which is not included on there, but really these attachment points are for the shoulder straps, which are hidden behind this back panel. And then you just loop them in there, boop, and now you're off to the races. Then again, no sternum strap included. And so there you go. You could just leave one stuffed, cross body it, and then you have now a sling style. So you really can kind of decide how you want to use those. Really doesn't really matter to me. How you would roll with that is kind of personal. Now the other little like negative to this is you stow these and they don't stow all the way unless you want to fold them over underneath. So that's just, you know, I don't know if that's the way they intended it to be, but the straps fit at the bottom of that pocket and you kind of have to like cram them in there to fully get them hidden. So you kind of have to fold them over. So otherwise they just stick out a little bit. A little secret, RFID protective pocket, which is a nice little feature. This is probably where you keep your extra cash and your passport. It's flat, and a little sticker, RFID safe, and AquaGuard zipper, of course. So that's the back panel. Again, sufficient straps for this size. They don't easily stow, but cool. And so that's, you know, that's the Stasis Pro X Pack. Very nice, very cool. Boundary Supply, new branding on this one. They just rebranded, came up with a new logo and all that stuff. So Boundary Stasis Pro. As we get into the Rennen, it's kind of like a bigger one, but also very similar. Because we ended over there with the back panel, let's start on this one with the back panel, and you can see some similarities. Same air channel style, same RFID pocket, attachment point here for what's in this pocket, which you could also store some stuff in. But this side has a luggage pass-through strap, which it uses the same attachment system, can't remove it, you just gotta stow it, as the Stasis attachment. So you take this little clip off, maybe you leave it in here for while you're traveling, that kind of thing, and then you use this as a luggage pass-through to secure this to the top of your other bag. And then when it's not in use, you can just stow that sucker right inside. Already talked about the shoulder straps. I think they're a little insufficient for this size bag, but you can, again, upgrade with an aftermarket or another Boundary Supply sternum strap. Strap keepers on the straps, which is always nice little feature, and then nice little buckles there for the rest of it. So that's the back panel. Standing it up, nice top handle, AquaGuard zippers everywhere, like I said. Bottle pockets on both sides. Got the 18-ounce Yeti in this one, fits perfectly. And what's also cool, put that back in there, small little detail, nothing is out. There is a bottom piece. So it kind of protects the bottom of the bag, but it's just kind of sewn in there. And there's this nice little bottom part of that pocket, which is, I think, a nice little feature. And when it's not being used, it folds in nicely out of the way. Attachment points in the front to use some of their attachment straps, maybe put a jacket in there. There's little ones, you know, you can strap them here to here. There's a nice little hidden set down here, which is cool. And one's on the bottom, so you can totally strap stuff kind of everywhere if you were going to go to town. And this thing just keeps falling off. This one, everything else is fine. This one, for whatever reason, just doesn't want to stay on board. Keeps wanting to pop off. I guess I just easily am clicking that one. Weird. Now, we have 3 areas on this one. We have a front area, middle, main compartment, and then a laptop section. Let's just start with the laptop section because we can compare them side by side with the Stasis. So Rennen Pro, and we'll just go side to side. This one, so you can see the similarities between these two. laid them down, standing them up. Start with this part. Identical, just bigger pocket with a key loop inside and a stretch pocket just like we had over here. So the Stasis and the Rennen Pro, both very similar. As we look at the laptop section, again, you can see a couple hard drives in here, some cords. This is where the pen loop is on either side, so you can keep your Apple Pencil with you and secured. Zip pocket on this side, again, maybe for some more cords or some documents. And then we have 2 laptop sleeves here. In this outer section, I just have a standard iPad, medium-sized iPad of the bunch. And in the back, I've got my 14-inch MacBook Pro, which fits in there quite nicely. You can fit a bigger one. I'll list what the biggest iPad is here because I can't remember at the moment. There is one more other feature that is pretty cool about this that I'm going to go into right now. But that's the back panel and how they compare. This includes, stand that sucker up, a piece of cardboard from my test. This little magnetic piece, which, you know, what is that for? Well, to be honest, I didn't know at first, but then I realized this is a magnetic laptop lock. And so there is loop, there's hook on this and loop that only goes to about here on the bag. Loop only goes to about here. So what you're going to do with this is install this in such a way that you're going to pull these apart when you want to get your laptop out. And so it's basically a top piece. So you pull these magnets apart, throw your laptop in there, and it just magnetically secures your laptop so it doesn't fly out. It also provides a nice little top buffer, keeps that pocket separated so it doesn't crush your laptop. So that's cool. My only critique with this little setup is everything needs to be flat. And so flat little hard drives, flat cords in here. You don't have any real dimension, ability to put thicker things. So like, for instance, I have this card case. Putting this card case in here just kind of prevents this whole thing from working out. Now, you can put it in there, but you're gonna, you know, be at risk of kind of crushing a couple things here and there. So just something to think about. And that's, you know, brings me up to, like, you know, where do you put sunglasses in here? Well, you don't put them in here for sure. You'd have to kind of throw them in the front somewhere. Anyway, working our way back to front. Let's close this sucker up. It is a very well organized, and this laptop layout for tech might be your jam. Now we're skipping all over. We're going to go to the front part of the bag. The front part of the bag has 3 areas. We have a tall section which goes all the way to the bottom. So you maybe put your light jacket in here. There is, where's that thing? There's a snap in here somewhere. Oh, it's in the other section. Anyway, nice little section in the front. Oh, there is. There's a third layer. So there's one layer that goes all the way to the bottom, so more tech. There's an outer section which goes all the way down here, and that's where there's a magnetic tab for you to maybe put some keys in there. So we got one section there, we've got another section, and we have 2 other sections up here, which are pretty shallow but very, very padded. So in this section is where you're gonna probably put your cell phone, maybe some other tech, maybe a light camera in there. But that's pretty much it. This has got, you know, sufficiently padded up front, but again, it couldn't fit my iPad mini in there, which was kind of the bummer for me. The only place you're really putting your phone is in that section. So again, phone, some other stuff, notebooks, that kind of thing, and then some other bigger areas down below. So magazines, maybe another regular iPad instead of in the back, you put it up front, that kind of thing. Super cool. The main event. And the problem with the main event is it doesn't go all the way down clamshell. So they go down right here, and then we'll get into it. Just got a packing cube. This is where, I forgot about that. This is where the 13-inch MacBook was in this elevated sleeve on the inside, which is cool. Then we have a big area. So I kind of have to get my phone out to peel this onion open. But as we look at this part of the bag, there's one thing I'm going to point out, and that is there's an area for you to snap in one of the boundary camera cubes. And those have these little magnetic locks here, snaps, and then there's the attachment point. So you can put a camera cube in here, and on the bottom, just have another packing cube. So the problem with this is mid-mounted, so you need a bigger packing cube, but my small medium boundary one that I had, if you lock it in place, and there's an empty area at the bottom, and so it does prevent it from falling, but at the same time, just put something at the bottom, and then you really don't even need the snaps. So I'm not really sure how I would use those long term. It's just an awkward setup, but that's what I had in there: a packing cube, more tech, and another packing cube. So again, pretty simple on the inside. Just really depends on how you want to deck it out. All right, so there we go. Stasis Pro and Rennen Pro, both urban focused, tech heavy, everyday carry bags. Really depends on how much tech you're really bringing and how you want to lay things out. Again, my critiques is really just these straps here. The attachment system is nice. No real area for sunglasses unless you want to put it in the stretchy pocket, but plenty of area for tech. Wish they included a sternum strap, and the shoulder straps are just a little insufficient. But if you're really going to just use this for everyday carry, load it up with a little bit of tech, light jacket, lunch for the day, that kind of thing, then this is perfect. And a nice looking bag with some nice features. So there you go. I like it. So there you go. That's the Rennen Pro Statis Pro. Some pretty fantastic, well-organized backpacks that I think hold a lot of value just because of all the little nooks and crannies they put some thought into. And these ones in particular have some great pockets for you to stash all your tech. Take all your tech and take it out to the great outdoors and see if it stays dry, which I think it will, because these did pretty well, or at least the Rennen did. I didn't take the Stasis out to this downpour, just did one at a time. And I don't have all day to be traipsing through the woods testing gear, although if that was my job, I think it'd be pretty cool. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, more coming soon, although not all of it being weather tested. Where's Jim Cantori when you need it? See ya!